Hey, Lighthouse, thanks for having some devotions with me this morning. Let's look at just the first 6 verses of Daniel chapter 2. Daniel and his friends have grown up for a time in Babylon. They've been taken from Israel. They're in the Babylonian court and working as officials under Nebuchadnezzar. And one of the big ideas in the book of Daniel, in the same way that we saw in Egypt, where Moses demonstrates over and over that Yahweh is superior to the Egyptian gods, so in Daniel, we're going to see over and over that the Babylonian gods are just nothing compared to Yahweh. Daniel is written, one of the big reasons Daniel is written is to prove this amazing truth that in the ancient world, it's something we take for granted, but in the ancient world would have seemed so like such a brand new idea. And that is this, that Yahweh is the king, is the power. Yahweh is the authority, even all the way in Babylon. That Yahweh is not a regional God, that Yahweh is not a limited God. But in the same way that we saw Yahweh conquer Baal in in Israel, now we're going to see the superiority of Yahweh all the way in Babylon, where these exiles are living. Israel has turned to idolatry and is being disciplined in exile in Babylon. And as God sells them into Babylon, he does not forsake them, but rather he goes with them and is superior even to the Babylonian gods. So Nebuchadnezzar in this story is going to come to a realization that each one of us need to come to at some point in our lives. And that is simply this, that the power of idols goes only so far. Nebuchadnezzar comes to a point in his life where he has to have real answers. He needs something that he knows he can't control. He needs something bigger than him. He doesn't just need idols telling him what he wants to hear. No, rather, he needs the truth. And to find the truth, he's going to turn to these Israelite exiles who worship not one of his gods, but Yahweh. But let's look just at Nebuchadnezzar's part, just this first 6 verses. In the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. His spirit was troubled and his sleep left him. So he's got insomnia. He can't sleep. And when he does, he's having nightmares. Then the king commanded that the magicians and enchanters and sorcerers, those are all words that mean idolaters. Those are all words that mean people who are finding information, are accessing the power, are accessing the demonic power of the gods of Babylon. And the Chaldeans be summoned to the king to tell the king his dreams. So they came in and stood before the king, and the king said to them, I had a dream, and my spirit is troubled to know the dream. Then the Chaldeans said to the king in Aramaic, O king, live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we will show you the interpretation. So they just are human. They don't know the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. How could they? They say, hey, why don't you tell us the dream and we'll interpret it? Why isn't that what Nebuchadnezzar wants to do? I wonder if it's because Nebuchadnezzar is so troubled, and maybe that's worked before. Nebuchadnezzar's brought him in and said, hey, would you tell me what this dream means? Here it was. Here was the dream. And they say, oh, well, it means you're powerful, and it means other people are not, and it means you're handsome and other people are ugly, and it means that you should, raise taxes on people over there, and you should buy us all vacation homes, or whatever it was. Like it was, these were people who made their living telling the king what he wanted to hear. And that's the problem with idolatry. That's the problem with greed. It's the problem with lust. It's the problem with pride. It's the problem with any kind of idolatrous idea, is that they make their living telling us what we want to hear. It is way too easy to call the idol and say, hey, what do you think I should do? And the idol goes, I think you should follow your heart. But Nebuchadnezzar is so troubled, and maybe you've had seasons where you were so troubled that the lies of idols are not going to do it anymore. You need to know the actual truth of the matter. So the king answered and said to the Chaldeans, "The word from me is firm. If you do not make it known to me the dream and its interpretation, you shall be torn limb from limb, and your houses shall be laid in ruins." Man, the stakes just got high. He says, look, I'm not joking around. And is this just because Nebuchadnezzar is cruel? Well, Nebuchadnezzar is cruel. But you see where he's going with this is, look, I need to know if I can trust you. I don't just need you to tell me what you want me to hear after I tell you what my dream was. I need to know if you actually can get to the heart of the matter. I need to know if you know more than I do. Is there something there? Is there a power that is beyond me? Interesting for a king to say, I need to know if somebody's watching me. I need to know if somebody's paying attention to what I'm going through. I need to know, although I'm the king, I need to know if there's somebody above me in power, in ability, in authority. And you guys claim to be connected to that. And if you can't come through now, well, then not only are you no good to me, but you're worthy of death. So verse 6 then says, "But if you show the dream and its interpretation, you shall receive from me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore, show me the dream and its interpretation." And of course, they can't do that. But you see the place that Nebuchadnezzar is. He's in a place where he just really has to know, is there more to this world? I'm at the end. I'm so troubled. I'm at the end of my desire to just be told what I want to hear. Following my heart is no longer the thing that's working for me. And he wants to know from the powers of this world, do you have what it takes to demonstrate that you really know the truth? And it turns out they don't. And you know, in ancient Babylon, we talk about sorcerers and enchanters and magicians. In our society today, we talk probably more about ideologies like greed, pride, lust, whatever. But the same thing is true of the enchanters and magicians that is true of greed and lust now, is that there comes a point where you say, I don't actually think you have any answers. You have to kill it. All right. We'll talk about Daniel's response tomorrow. Be loved.